So before the launch of the Switch 2, I made a video talking about Fast Fusion and kind of some of the things that I was hoping to see out of it, and now that the game has been out for a month, I thought that it would be a good time to kind of discuss what my experience has been like thus far. Admittedly, so far I've definitely spent more time in games like Mario Kart World than Fast Fusion, but I wanted to go ahead and get this out before Donkey Kong Bonanza releases, so this is more of a first impressions type of thing than anything. And also, before I even get into anything regarding Fast Fusion, I should probably go ahead and note that Shin'en Multimedia has said that there will be free updates of the game, so some things that I bring up may be mitigated later on down the line. So just to kind of recap a little bit about the Fast Racing series, it all started on the Wii with Fast Racing League. This is the only title that I haven't played at all, but from what I've gathered about the game, it does follow a very similar premise and set of inspirations as what we have today. There is very clear homage to games like F-Zero and Wipeout present with the game's design as well as just the overall visual aesthetic, as it is a very high-speed, futuristic sci-fi racer. We then had Fast Racing Neo on the Wii U and Fast RMX on the Switch. Fast RMX is essentially just like a deluxe version of Fast Racing Neo, so if you played Fast RMX, that pretty much catches you up to speed prior to the launch of Fast Fusion. That game is one of the best showcases of a futuristic racing game on the Nintendo Switch. So many people that yearned for a new F-Zero game or wanted to play something like Wipeout, which is a Sony exclusive, kind of had this indie game to turn to. Fast RMX also carried with it a pretty hefty amount of content. There were lots of tracks to kind of learn and just come back to over time, lots of cups for you to master. It really was a lot of fun, especially at the launch of the Switch whenever there wasn't that much else stuff to play. So then that brings us to the present with Fast Fusion, and there are things about this game that I think are better than Fast RMX, but also things about it that I think are a little bit weaker. To start out with the positives, the biggest one, which is just very blatantly obvious, is the visual fidelity. This is an incredible showcase for the Switch 2's power, just as Fast RMX was for the original Switch. There are even various different visual modes that you're able to take advantage of if you want a specific style, whether that be a higher focus on quality or an emphasis on performance. There definitely are times, at least in the basic quality mode, where parts of the screen can feel a little bit blurry while racing, but given how fast-paced the overall gameplay loop is, I don't find myself being bothered by it at all, and I still find the background of pretty much every single track in this game to be gorgeous to look at. One of the new features of this game is the ability to jump while racing on the tracks, which I do also think is a very welcome addition and something that initially I was a little bit apprehensive about. I thought that there was a very good chance that it would kind of lend to some wacky gameplay, just, with how fast you're actually driving around, but no, it's actually pretty fun. There definitely is a learning curve to knowing exactly how to time your jumps, so that way you don't just like completely fly off the track or just fly into an obstacle, but once you get it down, it's very satisfying, especially whenever you land on top of another racer and you collect some of their orbs. The biggest drawback of Fast Fusion, though, is the lack of quantity with the track selection. There is a total of 12 that you're able to race on, and none of them are bad, and there is a slight positive with having less, as it makes them kind of stand out more. However, there is no denying that after playing 12 tracks, it did kind of leave me wanting a little bit more, and I think it kind of hindered my playtime of the game, as I felt tired a little bit quicker after playing through it. For context, Fast RMX had more than double the track selection of Fast Fusion, and while that game definitely had moments where I would kind of like forget the layout of a track if you just like told me the name of it, I think it kind of kept me playing the game for longer overall and just kind of like, added to my just experience playing through the game. This isn't a detrimental issue to the game. It's not something that I would say don't buy this game to someone for. It's just like a very tiny drawback that I did want to mention. And as Shin'en Multimedia has said, once again, that they're going to be doing free updates, there's always a chance that they'll add more cups, so this is easily something that could be rectified in the future with updates. Another really bizarre omission from this game is the lack of an online mode, at least as of the time of recording. I think that the lack of an online mode does kind of hinder my motivation to get better and better at the game, because, without the ability to take my skills online against other people, The only real way to really gauge how much better I've gotten at the game is through the time attack mode and in the hero mode. However, even with all of that being said, at a quarter of Mario Kart World's price tag, it really does not hamper my enjoyment of the purchase as a whole. I do think that the new way of unlocking things, with it being more of like a shop system, is actually pretty fun in practice, and thankfully it doesn't incorporate anything like microtransactions to kind of like really put a damper on the experience. So I think that new system is actually pretty cool, and you're able to fuse the different vehicles together now too, which is also a pretty interesting dynamic to the unlock system, and of course it pairs well with Fast Fusion as the name. But yeah, that's my basic thoughts on Fast Fusion at the moment. If we see more updates and more gets added to the game, I would be happy to take a much deeper look and kind of critique these tracks maybe one by one. Maybe I could do a track ranking as well in the future, because I do think that the tracks that we do have are pretty fun. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe, as that is the best way to support the channel. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and as always, peace out.